Nice little intro right there, right? How y'all doing? This is Roman with the Conscious, aka Conscious moRON. We just chilling, looking at Twitter. Very interesting things are going on. Let's chime in for a minute. I think we're gonna keep this segment going right here. I kind of like doing trolling through Twitter. I gotta come up with a good name for it. But Pete right here. Pete.
We'll come to America when we host the Los Angeles Olympics. And by the way, which I was president, we happened to get it. I was the president. I also got you a thing called the World Cup, which is coming very soon. We'll come to America when we host the Los Angeles Olympics. And by the way, which I was president, we happened to get it. I was the president. I also got you a thing called the World Cup, which is coming very soon. We'll come to America when we host the Los Angeles Olympics.
We're going to get past that. What am I looking at right now? We're on a trend right now. I think it's Georgia. The Georgia trend. And of course, me being in Atlanta. But of course, this is
You know, Fannie Willis is a good friend of your governor. You know
the
that?
Georgia resident. He's going to say it again.
I'm not a fan of your governor.
It won't be won by a large margin, but we voted
for
Biden
Biden
and
is a
elected
good
two
friend of your
Democrats.
governor. You
A
know
lot of
that?
Republicans, a lot of them are like Trumpists.
I'm not a fan of your governor. But
Yeah, it was kind of stupid of him talking about the governor. That wasn't smart. Like that's what I'm saying. This is fine during the primary, primary elections, but this is the general election when you're trying to get a coalition of independent people and even maybe some Democrats on your team. You're literally pushing everybody away, even your own party. You're not going to win like that. Or maybe he knows he's not going to win and he's trying to go the other way. Statement on Donald Trump. The former one. If you were able to see through Donald Trump's incoherent and vindictiveness tonight, you saw a Donald Trump who doesn't care about uniting this country or speaking to the voters who will decide this election. Millions of Americans are fed up with his grievance-filled campaign focused on only himself. Tonight we heard a particularly unhinged, angry version of the same Donald Trump that Georgia rejected in 2020. Okay, it goes on to say elections are binary choices. As a lifelong conservative Republican, it was not an easy decision for me to endorse Vice President Harris, but I know that she fights for all Americans, right, left, or center. We will stand up for the Constitution. That's kind of powerful. Wow. Former Lieutenant Governor of Georgia. And I think in another video, or the video right before this, I showed him. You know what I'm saying? Like, people sick of that, man. Like, you can't make the country only about you. Can't do it, guys.
You can't imagine that anybody who understands anything about politics would say, hey, here's a great idea. Go to the National Association of Black Journalists and question whether Kamala Harris is really black or not. This is what happens, George, and this is how you can tell that this race is changing. Because what happens is when Donald Trump's ahead and he feels like he's comfortably ahead, he is willing to go with conventional, smart political advice. As soon as he thinks it's getting close, he goes back to the greatest hits. You saw this at the convention when he didn't think he was getting the reaction he wanted from the beginning of the speech. He went back to the greatest hits. You saw it at the NABJ, and you saw it last night in Atlanta.
Attacking the Republican governor.
Right. Now, here's Brian Kemp, who he has attacked mercilessly since 2020. Sponsored a primary candidate against him, who, by the way, Kemp got 70% of the vote against in the primary, beat Trump's endorsed candidate. And this is a guy who won big in 2022 when lots of other Republicans up and down the ticket, including in Georgia, were losing. And so to attack Kemp is a stupid thing, but this is who he is, George. This is personal. He's juvenile. And so he's going to continue to attack not only Brian Kemp, but the women of Georgia should have heard loud and clear last night. He attacked First Lady Marty Kemp just as viciously as he attacked the governor. And that's the greatest hits. That's what he'll go.
See what I'm saying? Like, you're not uniting people. Well, I was out there that. Told you. That almost looked like me. There was a few people, but it wasn't a lot. He's absolutely right. It was not a lot. I will attest to this.
We have to call him out for what he is. He's a felonious thug who walks down the street and throws sucker punches at people like Brian Kemp, like African-American journalists, like John McCain, and the list goes on and on and on again. And the Republican Party is content sitting across the street watching it happen and not calling him out, not jumping into that fight and saying, you are wrong for us. This 10% in the middle, which now feels like it's growing to be bigger than 10% in the middle, that's going to decide this election, are paying attention. And I've never seen a human be more self-destructive than Donald Trump the last 2 weeks. He continues to do it over and over and over again. And when he loses, and the Republican Party finally catches their breath and wakes up and says, we need a GOP 2.0, there'll be some people around, but it's going to take time to fix.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to get into commitment. What is this? Let's look. Okay, we already at 6 minutes. I was just seeing where we were at. We don't want to go over the 10-minute mark. I messed up. I should have read that down. No, we don't like that yesterday. It wasn't like that yesterday with everybody. She's taking the internet by storm.
I just watched that speech in Atlanta of Trump going on and on and on, and just
That'll be the last one.
It was painful to watch even half of it. I had to eventually turn it off and then come back to it, turn it off, then come back to it. But you know, the one thing that I couldn't help seeing was all the empty seats. There were so many empty seats. And this is in Georgia, where he's supposed to be doing so well, and it's just so obvious that he's not. Tell me if you saw the same thing. Well, first of all, I'm sure you noticed the same thing I did, that a lot of people after a half an hour just got up and left. But before that, you could just see that there were just so many empty seats. Why? Why were there so many? I mean, this is Georgia. His whole campaign is linked to this is one of the states he's linked to. He has to have, or he loses. And there were so many empty seats. Wow. I don't know. Like and follow.
We'll do that. It's so funny that Trump's unpopularity in Georgia is symbolic representation by the empty blue seats. I just don't think he can keep it. He doesn't have the ability to switch it up. I'm gonna keep showing that. And Michaela. But this is the news. Michaela and the emptiness of the seats. That's the last one.
Democratic rally this week on Tuesday.
You don't say. No one in Georgia seems to
It was like
notice.
an out-of-body experience, but it was great. Saw lots of great friends and folks I served with, and just really, really good. But the thing I kept hearing over and over and over again from colleagues that were in elected office, people I knew just in general, and from the media, was it felt a lot like the Obama run. It just, there was an energy in that room. There was just something different than just an election. It was a movement that was showing up. There was like this release valve of tension. And when I see these moves, and I'm still learning these names, right? I don't really know who these people are. I don't really run in these circles. But when you see that they used to work in the Obama campaigns, you watch the same sheet of music starting to show back up again.
Well, and
You might have heard a little bit about this when I went to my first Democrat.
Out of here on that note. We're gonna be dropping a little bit more. Of course, I gotta do a little bit more investigating on Twitter. I know y'all like, why are you going on this? Because I think the way that MAGA communicates, it justifies that communication. Like, look, you can go on Twitter, so we got to get in the mud a little bit, so to speak. But thank y'all so much. And like I always end it, without you, there is no more, right? Y'all be good. Stay safe. Peace.